He's sitting around. What should he do? Well, Trevor talks it through. Trevor talks it through. Good morning, everyone. It's sometime in March. Late-ish March. Not quite to the ass end of March, but we're getting close. And this is episode 110 of Trevor Talks It Through. This is recorded in front of a live streaming audience. Might even have some live streaming audience here already. Oh, good. There we go. Matt's here. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Today's topic is my thesis. My thesis. This is good morning, Jen. Good morning, all mentor. Okay, there you go. Oh, he's actually awake in time to watch it. That's great. Yeah, so this is a show. I do it twice a month. You can watch it live, or then I put it up on the internet, on the YouTube and on Facebook, and then you can watch it there. Every week we do a topic based on what the live stream audience wanted from the previous week. And this week they have chosen my thesis. I'm not in charge here. I do not control this. I would not voluntarily do this to anyone, by the way. Unless I was at like an academic conference or defending my thesis, which should happen sometime soonish. It is written. It is all done. I'm just waiting for the hardest part. Now, the hardest part, they don't tell you this when you start in academia. You'd think the hardest part would be completing the thesis. No, the hardest part is finding time for the 5 profs who are supposed to be at your defense to all have the same 3 hours available. Almost impossible. Yeah. So I have no idea when I actually get to defend. I'm just kind of sitting around now. I'm good at sitting around, though, so it's okay. It's one of my core competencies, sitting around. I don't know if any of you guys out there are good at sitting around, but I'm pretty damn good at it. Oh, good. People are coming in. That's great. So my first slide of the day is this exciting shot over here of my title, my thesis title, Conceptions of Creativity on the Ontario Elementary Curriculum, 1853 to 2018. And then you got to have that, right? You got to have the colon there, right? Else it's not academic. Because if you can complete your entire topic without a colon, like, who are you trying to fool? You shouldn't be in academia. So there you go. Then the colon, and then a historically situated document analysis. Yep. So there you go. That's the part 2 of it, right? You got to get that in there. Oh, Jen says she's been streaming on the Facebook instead of the Twitch because it looks better on the TV. That's fine. I don't care anymore. I just don't care. Twitch is the little good thing about Twitch is that I can watch the stream a little better, but you guys do whatever platform you want. That's good information to have, though. So if you want to put it for the whole family, apparently Facebook's good at that. Twitch is for, I guess, more loners. I don't know. I'm not one about talking. Yeah. Oh, so there's I'm already getting distracted. So I have no idea how the show's going to go. Like, I keep my shows to an hour. I don't know if I'm going to get through my thesis in 10 minutes and then be stuck, or if I'm going to get like maybe through the first 5 pages and then have to make this like a 20-part program. I just don't know what's going to happen. I honestly don't. So that's what's going on today. So what should I talk about? What should I talk about to start off? I've got a little rough plan here. Oh, okay. Got a little rough plan going on, but let's get this guitar into my hand. I won't be needing this for a little while because I'm just going to talk at you. So first of all, why did I go back and do this to myself, right? Why did I? So I do a lot of kind of creativity-based stuff in schools. So I'll do workshops with kids. Usually doing songwriting, sometimes doing creative writing or playwriting or comedy. But the usual gig is songwriting. It's kind of the one that's I don't know, easiest to do with a whole bunch of people all at once. So I was doing a whole bunch of this stuff. Oh, here, I'm going to give an action photo. You need an action shot. Not that this current picture isn't exciting and adding lots of production value to my show. But here we go. Let's get rid of that. And there we go. Oh, there we are. There's me. In action, creating a song with a bunch of students. So anyway, I would do a whole bunch of this stuff. And I do, whenever I do this, I'd be in different classrooms, different places, different teachers, different kind of setups in the schools. And I would do these workshops, and I would notice that there were like I would always be getting different kind of vibes from teachers and administration about what creativity was, right? Because I have my kind of ideas of what creativity was. When I get into these schools, and they would seem to have totally different ideas. Like some of the teachers would be right into what I was doing, like yeah, and other ones would kind of look a little worried, like what the hell is this guy doing, messing up my class? Because classes get kind of noisy when I'm doing stuff, not out of control though, but you know. And I let students kind of make up whatever ideas they want, which is not always positively looked on. Yeah, so I was going, well, why don't anyone else understand what creativity is? And then it hit me. Maybe, here's the big idea. Maybe there isn't one idea of what creativity is. Maybe there's a whole bunch of them. Maybe there's different ideas. Yeah, who knows? Like, that's like, wow, maybe I should figure this out. I need to figure out what's going on. And yeah, mentor said students should never have ideas in the classroom. That's sometimes held. Yeah, not all teachers. Jen is doing her master's at the now. Can't imagine a PhD. Well, you won't have to, because I'm gonna describe in painful detail what it's like. You won't have to use your imagination. No, I'll just tell you what it's like. Yeah. By the way, when I finished my master's, I told everybody around me, every single person, that I would never, ever, in a billion, million, trillion years, obviously I did not get a master's in mathematics. I said I would never, ever do a PhD, ever. And then when I crawled back 3 or 4 years later, there was one guy who was, oh, there's Trevor, the guy who was never going to do a PhD. What are you doing in this building? He said that every time I saw him, which I actually appreciate. I like that kind of commitment to a gag. Yeah. So, but this question bugged me. It was bugging me. Like, wow, what's going on here? What's going on with creativity? And because I would hear stuff like some of the teachers thought it was kind of more everyone working together on something, which is not my personal experience of creativity. My idea was more of the lone crazy person doing stuff, because it's kind of my gig. Although sometimes I hook up with those 2 other crazy guys. But yeah, others were more about more cooperation, or is finger painting, or little kids finger painting, is that creative? And then the stuff from like the ministry and from business was like, no, creativity is used for innovation, to make new products and to make us students globally competitive. Which I just go, ugh, really? That's what you want to do with that? Global competitive in the economic system, and then you die once you're worn out cog. Ugh, I don't like that. But that's you hear a lot of that kind of stuff going on. Anyway, so that was my whole thing. And here I am in the classroom, and I put up this. I want to talk about me in the classroom, because that lets me sing a couple of songs that the students wrote, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So in here in the classroom, I'd write songs with the students. And like I said, my main thing is to let the students write whatever they want to write about. And I'll usually start off by doing a song with the group, which is a little harder because you have to get them all to agree on stuff. But I usually find that if you talk to them long enough, they'll come up with an idea that they are all are mostly excited to write about. So here's one from a grade 7-8 class. Which is one of my favorites. I think I played this at some other stream, or maybe even on another show, but I like this one. So this is from the students. I could never have written this because it's actually kind of painful at me. I'm like part of the target that they're laughing at here. Parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Just stop using Snapchat, Instagram, and Tumblr, making them as cool as a cucumber. Using your clothes and trying your ripstick, talking to your friends and wearing your lipstick. Parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Just stop. One time my mom said, I know the lingo. And my dad said, careful 'cause of YOLO. Now mom's singing Taylor Swift in the car. Come on, mom, you gone way too far. Parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Just stop. I just want to crawl in to a hole and die. I'm moving out. It's time to say goodbye, yeah. The parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Parents trying to be cool. Just stop. There we go. There's one. Parents trying to be cool. So, yeah, I like that one. Even though, like I said, it's, I'm kind of like part of the target of that, which is fine. But yeah, that was one song they wrote. That was like a grade 7, 8 class. You can tell they're getting a little worried about coolness, right? Some of the younger classes write just crazy stuff, though. Crazy stuff. So I'm going to do one of those. Here we go. This was a grade 4, 5 class, I think. Yeah, this is, when you let them just go with what they want to do, you get some, they're willing to go out there, especially the younger kids. They have not learned about the line and where it is between, what you should be doing. It's a writing exercise, so you should be noble and empowered. No, it's just they're totally into writing stupid songs. Which key do I have this one in if you want to play along? It's in C if you want to play along at home. 50 feet tall, 3 eyes and a beard. Mustache and sideburns, really weird. Makes Hippo look skinny, and he's got wings. Spikes and speaks Spanish. It's a crazy thing. There's a mutant pig in my driveway. Mutant pig in my driveway. Mutant pig in my driveway, and I'm kinda scared. He's a cannibal 'cause he loves bacon. He moves like a donkey, boy, I'm shaking. He ate a banjo and the neighbors. He's got issues and awful bad behavior. There's a mutant pig in my driveway. Mutant pig in my driveway. Mutant pig in my driveway, and I'm kinda scared. He's a failed experiment from a science lab who fell into nuclear waste. Ooh, that's bad. His name is Norman Joe Schinkelbotten. And then a spaceship came down and got him. There was a mutant pig in my driveway. Mutant pig in my driveway. Mutant pig in my driveway. And I was pretty scared. Song for everyone there. Mutant pig in my driveway. So I did some of that stuff. Okay, there we go. Give me an excuse to sing a couple of songs. Where am I gonna go now? So there were some of the songs that I did with some students. And if I still do this stuff. I have to go in on the Zoom at the moment because of stupid COVID. But I still do those things. Where's my notes for this show? Here we go. Okay. So that's what that is. So I went back to school to figure it all out. And do I have a new one here? I'm going to now sing you. I'm going to first sing you my thesis. Okay, and then I'll go over it in excruciating detail. So there is this contest here. The Storytellers, put on by SHHRC Shirk. Everyone says Shirk. It's this social and humanities. Oh, anyway, it's a research thing. Anyway, they have this thing where they were going to get everyone to explain their research in 3 minutes or less. And you could do it any way you wanted. And I went, 3 minutes, that's a song. I'm just going to write a song. So I wrote a song about my thesis. And so I'm going to play this song to you. And it's going to kind of, it's going to describe most of it for you. So take notes. If you're at home, take some notes. And we can ask questions afterwards. So this is the summary in song form of my thesis. There we go. Okay. It's longer than it's a long... It's wordy. It's a wordy song. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of words in this song. Okay. What key? If you want to play along, it's in D. Although I'm going to play it C capoed up too. Okay? If you want to play along. Okay, so this is my research in 3 minutes. This is a song about my PhD research. Goes a little like this. Sounds a lot like Mutant Pig in the Driveway so far, actually. This is being called the creative age. And in education, there's been support for the implementation of a curriculum encouraging creativity in kids But for that to work, it helped to know what creativity is. You'd think that'd be the first thing you do, wouldn't you? But studies have shown that teachers do not really know, and you can hardly blame them, because if you go and look at creativity from an historical perspective, you'll find there's been many conflicting definitions and conceptions. And there continues to be to this very day. Creativity in education, if we want it to work out, it helped to know just which conceptions we're talking about. Creativity in education, one thing we can do first is ask ourselves why we want it, what is its purpose? Well, why would we do that? Well, you see, the conceptions of creativity in use in the classroom might change depending on what we want creativity to do for students or for the society at large. For example, if it's for students' personal growth, is about them uniquely thriving. For transmitting culture, it's creative tradition surviving. For the economy, creativity is problem-solving innovation. For social justice, it's creative societal transformation. Creativity in education, it's important to ask why. 'Cause the answer could just change the approach you want to try. Creativity in education takes many forms, it's true. Knowing which ones to use when make it easier to do. Well, that sounds simple enough, but just how do you know? Well, that's why I'm going to take a look at the Ontario curriculum and uncover all the purposes for creativity existing within. So when a teacher's told to teach creativity, they'll have some idea about what that means contextually. Creativity in education sure could use some help. This research hopes to make some tools for folks to sort it out. Creativity in education, a step towards clarity, is what I hope to accomplish if I ever finish this PhD. So there it is. There's the whole darn thing. The whole darn thing right there. Creativity in education. That is the research. Yep, that's it. That's the thesis. Okay, so I guess I should go in more detail. Wow, I've never had less viewers than at this point. This is awesome. Yeah, it's only the hardcore watchers today, that's for sure. There's still more people than it'll be at my defense. This is good practice for me, actually. It's good practice for my defense. So that was the song, summing it up. I didn't win, though. Didn't win the contest. No. Unfortunately, there was a guy. There was like people who had like much more heartfelt reasons to do research and didn't just write a silly song. But it doesn't matter. I got money for this and everything, so I was pretty happy. Let's go. Okay, so that's kind of the whole deal. So I went back to the university and trying to figure out what how to approach this. So the first thing I did was look at the word creativity, right? Makes sense, right? So here you go. Here's a little Google Ngram. I don't know if anyone has played around with Google Ngram before. If anyone has, but now that I tell you about it, knowing this audience, you guys are gonna be spending a lot of time on this if you haven't. You can put in any words into the Google, and it'll show you the word frequency and all the text that Google searches. Like all the books historically, and it'll show you how often that word is found over time. So here we go. I might have to expand this a little bit here. I'm going to have to expand this a little bit. Where is this slide here? Ngram 1, because it's hard to see. It's hard to see. Let's put it over top here. Okay, then I should be able just to. I should be able to bigify this. No. Come on. Stupid thing. There we go. Oh, no, it should be on. What's going on here? Why do I need to put... Oh, I need to keep it there. Is that right? Now I can bigify it? No! Come on, why aren't you working? I need to put it over the... Do I need to put it all the way in the top? Oh, this isn't going to work, is it? There it goes. Okay. There. Okay, so there you can see. So I was looking at the word creativity. And you can see over time here, there's creativity is the blue one, right? It doesn't really start going at all to any frequency really till the 1940s. It's nothing. It doesn't even really appear in the 1920s. But I'm going to peek over top here. But what I did notice, there I am. What I did notice, what I found through research, because that's what I was doing, is there were other terms that were used instead of creativity for similar purposes. The older one is creative power. Creative power. Look at that. It was used all the way back in the 1850s. Creative power. Wonder what that meant. And then there was this other word called creativeness, which kind of popped up, really started to take off in the early 1900s. And then creativity is a Johnny come lately. Johnny come lately. Look, didn't really, it's behind these other ones. Oh, and then there was this other thing. Creative evolution was a fad for a while there. I don't know if I'll have time to explain all creative evolution or not. So there's that one. I'm just going to put that one to bed. So that was up to 1950. And where you go? Let's get the other one. Then from 1950 on, come on, scroll up, you darn thing. Let's get this one up. Here we go. There we go. So here's what happens after 1950. Look at this. Look at this. Those other words. Bam, nothing. They're done. And creativity whooshes up. Like, so what the hell is going on there? What the heck? So, so that was one of the first things I was really interested in is what? People assume this the word creativity has been around forever, and it hasn't. It's a new word, brand spanking new word. It is not an old word at all in any way. It's a new word. But we all walk around talking like, oh, creativity is like a fundamental part of all humanity, and it's been around forever, and it hasn't. Totally hasn't. Nope, that's bogus. Bogus. Oh my God, I'm going to go on forever about this, but it doesn't matter. You're still here. I got 12 people left. That's all I need. So creativity. So these words, so the original word for creativity, it comes from Latin, which was creare. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. If there are any ancient Romans in the audience, please correct my pronunciation. So creare was the same as facere, which was to make, except creare was to make something that had previously not existed. But it didn't mean mystical or anything, or it's anything special. Like, it was just, you have a new business, you create a new name for the business. Didn't have a name before, now it has a name, right? So we wouldn't really call that creativity today. Like, oh, I just came up with or you give something a number. That's number 3 now. I just created that number 3. So that's where it came from. And then the word creation, creare, was used in the Bible. Yeah, Jerome's Latin version of the Bible. It was used for capital C, what became capital C creation, which was creation out of nothing of everything by God. That's capital C creation. And then from that's when creative power started coming along. I go in much more detail in this, but this idea, originally all of creation was set. It was all set. Everyone had a spot in creation. Everyone was stuck in their little spot and nothing happened. But then as technology started to happen and governments got overthrown, all that kind of revolution stuff in the 1800s, people started to go, hey, maybe creation isn't done. Maybe creation is an ongoing thing. And so there's still creation, and it's still by God, or sometimes at this point, capital N, nature, big N, nature. Maybe it's ongoing, and maybe new stuff can still happen, but it still happens through the greater creation. And that is the power of creation. And so for someone to have creative power, it was kind of like power on loan by God or by capital N nature, or occasionally they thought it was on loan by the devil. And so this is the idea that geniuses possessed creative power, and that so only people who had creative power were special, and they're kind of using this power from the greater force around them. That was creative power, and that's why that was used beforehand. There's still no idea about individuals' creativity, like anybody being creative. Just the geniuses. They had creativity. Okay, anyone still with me? Oh, I picked up a couple of viewers. Amazing. So that was the idea. Oh, I'm going to take questions first. Why? I hope I get to be a prof someday. I'd be awesome just talking over everyone and not listening. Anyone else? Anyone else? Creativeness. Canadian girl. Oh, I missed the beginning of this thesis. Oh, don't worry. It's on. It's going to be on the YouTube and the Facebook. Okay. Any questions? I'm going to stop just for a second. I'm trying to be a good teacher here. Any questions so far? We've done creative power. We're about to go into creativeness. Yeah. Okay. Creativeness. Okay. Next is creativeness. So so we have this idea of geniuses, and geniuses possessing creative power, and so they can create. like God, but not as God, through God, or capital N nature, whatever. If you're into the romantics, and then this idea came along that maybe we're all still part of creation, and we're all still growing, and we all within ourselves contain a spark or a seed of creation. So there's this idea that no, it's not just geniuses. Geniuses can get special power, but we're all part of this growth, continued growth of creation, and each and every one of us has a unique part of creation and needs to grow according to that inner seed or spark. There was a whole bunch of metaphors. They usually like to go with the organic one. So it was like a seed. So that meant that everyone was part of creation, and everyone was being creative in that they were a part of this whole creation and they were still growing. And that's when the word creativeness came along. Creativeness. It was used a lot by this guy called Froebel. I'm probably saying his name wrong too. Anyone know who Froebel is? Anyone? Bueller? No, anyone? No, Froebel? What did he do? Froebel? Bueller? I'm still waiting. Bueller? Anyone knows what his big thing? What did he come up with? He came up with the kindergarten. Yes. No one said that. No one said it. Took the ring to Mordor. No. Come on, people. No one did the readings. Froebel. He was not... Psychology at this time, Mary, was barely a thing. It wasn't really a thing. Psychology didn't really get going till the late 1800s. Froebel's a little earlier, but he's kind of part of the same movement. You could call him a psychologist, but psychology wasn't a thing yet. And that's another one of those things that's new that people think was forever. So Froebel's invented kindergarten. What's a kindergarten? Oh, it's a metaphor looking at children as plants with internal sparks. So Froebel had this idea of creativeness, and that everyone grew in a garden, a kindergarten, garden. So that's what it was. That's the whole metaphor. Kindergarten is a garden of children, all growing according to their internal nature through creativeness. That's what they were doing. So this was the first real idea of creativity. It wasn't called creativity yet, by the way, but I'm just using that word because it's convenient. This is the first real idea of that entered the education system, public education system, through kindergarten. And so that was this idea that everyone is part of creation. But it's not an idea of individual creativity as in I am a creative individual and I make my own things. No. It's a conforming creativity of people growing according to external, eternal laws into a society which is pleasant and all agrees all the time and all that kind of stuff. So that's how kindergarten got started. It was all based on that stuff. Kindergarten's still around. It's changed though, I can tell you. I will tell you. Whew, okay. So that was into creativeness. And then there's this creative evolution stuff, which is really fascinating, but it's kind of a detour. So I'm just gonna skip that for now and go right into, but look it up. There's a big book, 1914, Creative Evolution, I think it was. It was a big hit. It was all about how evolution was part of this creativeness, this process of creativeness, and how the whole, I'll just say the big thing is how the whole goal of creation is to be conscious of itself. This goes back several philosophers behind this, but this was the theory of creative evolution, which combined these ideas with evolution, is that the reason why this whole goal of creation, capital C creation, through creativeness is so that all of these organisms can grow and develop, and then the universe is aware of itself. Whoa, hey, that's pretty big. Anyway, that's creative evolution. You can look that up. So then we're going to get into this idea of creativeness comes in, this organic kind of idea. And this is the main idea of how children are creative up until around the 1940s. And in the 1940s, these psychologists that Mary had kind of introduced very nicely, they're starting to they're not having any of this eternal power stuff, right? They're having none of it. None of it. Society is modernizing, science is changing everything, and people are just these combinations of factors, right? So this guy here, let me get him up. Oh, I gotta. Oh, here we go. Oh, I was supposed to have this. Let's get. Where is my tech support? Come on, people. Where's this slide? Where's this? I don't want to see you. Where's the other one? Here's the other one. Where's the other? There it is. Go away. There we go. So, I was supposed to be showing this slide the whole time, just as a. That was supposed to really help you. Creative power, creativeness, creativity. Forgot to. Now I'm on to this guy. Okay, so this guy here. Here we go. This is Guilford, J.P. Guilford. J.P. Guilford, psychologist. Empirical psychologist, meaning that he liked his psychology was not based on these made up, like these eternal truths. He wanted to look at things and analyze them and subdivide them. He loved dividing stuff, this guy. I don't think you can get a picture of a guy looking more like a scientist around 1950 than that dude right there. That is impressively of its time. I don't know what the hell he's holding there. What the heck? Like, is that like a glow, like one of those power spheres? Or is he at the bingo and he's going to put that full of balls and pull? I don't know I honestly don't know what's going on there. It's just the picture I found that on the internet. I've got questions now about that picture. Anyway, so that's J.P. Guilford. And in 1949, he made a speech to the American Psychological Association called, can you guess what the title of it was? I'm going to wait a second. Do you know? What was his speech called? What is the speech called? Anyone know? Take a guess. Anyone? What do you think the name of it was? Creativity and Education? Close. Too long, but very close. I give you half marks. Creativity. That was the name of it. Creativity. How to look scientific holding a ball. Well, yeah, I mean, he should have done a paper on that for sure, because look at that. He's like, there's so much going on there. You can just tell. Anyway, he did this thing, creativity. Every creativity researcher, almost everyone, call it the start of creativity research, which is kind of not really true, but somewhat true. And he said, okay, we got to get into creativity. And we gotta turn this into a scientific field of study. And the way we do that is we study creative personalities. So now it wasn't about this universal creativity. It was the psychology, and the psychologists were really into personality at this time and finding out which different factors and variables and different little bits make a person creative. And the reason can anyone guess? I'm just gonna, this is great. This is just like me doing a class. Anyone guess why? Who funded his research into creativity? Can anyone guess? What was the funding of his research? This is 1949, 1950. Anyone guess what he was? Who funded the first research into creativity? Big creativity. Yeah, no one. No one's even gonna guess. My goodness. Oh wait, I'm not on the multi-screen. Maybe somebody on one or the other. No. Army, government. Very good, Mary. You win. It was the U.S. Air Force funded research because they wanted, their conception of creativity was to create better fighter pilots. Huh. That's not the same as kindergarten at all, is it? Wow, what a change. That's a big change. Huh. Kindergarten to fighter pilot. So this, so you can see these conceptions have already warped and changed and gone into other things. So he was into multifactorial variables, Guilford was. And here I'll show you a very easy, here. It's really easy to figure out. There you go. Isn't that nice? Yeah, so this was like you would just get all of these different kind of micro personality traits, and you get these other macro personality traits or something like that, and then you put them together in this stupid rectangle of ridiculousness, and then you could figure out if how creative someone was and which inputs you could change to make them more, and then you could make tests to find out how creative people were, and then you could make a military that could beat the commies, which was kind of what they were going for. It didn't work out, believe it or not. It didn't work out. No. They got funding though, which is good. As a researcher, I congratulate them on getting a bunch of government money to help beat the commies. So that was that. Yep. So since then, I like the old research better. So I'm just going to skip through the next 50 years of modern stuff. So since then, conceptions of creativity have gone through different phases. So this was the creativity as personality, multifactorial one, and then there was there was this kind of idea in the 60s and 70s as creativity was not about conforming. All these previous ideas, except for the genius idea, was about creativity being able to be conforming into society. And then the 60s and 70s was like, no, man, creativity is about fighting the man, doing your own thing, dropping out. Like, so there was that idea that came in the 60s and 70s. Then the 80s, it became more about motivation, external motivation, intrinsic motivation for creativity. And a lot of stuff then started up about creativity in teams and creativity in cultures and all bunches of people working together to make creative stuff. And then in the late 80s, 90s, up to today, a whole bunch of stuff on creativity being used to create products and maximize profits and be used in innovation, technology, all of that kind of stuff. And now what's going on now? I think we're still mainly in that. Now there seems to be a bit of a movement towards, hey, maybe creativity is not just one thing, and maybe this word creativity is used for political and social and cultural reasons, and that different people fight over these different terms because creativity is a power word. And if you own the definition of creativity, you get to decide what people have to do with it. Yeah. So there's all that kind of stuff. Like, for example, well, here, I'll get into a second. Any questions, class? Any questions? Yeah. Remember, you guys asked for this. This was not my... how to mold kindergartners into better fighter pilots. First Saskatchewan Pirate also says, now we talk about innovation. Yes, we do. We do talk about innovation now. In the 2016 kindergarten curriculum in Ontario, for example, they've wiped out almost all they made all the creativity stuff subservient to innovation, and they have this horrific picture of children running in this big, I have it somewhere too. I didn't put it in one of my slides, as innovators. Like, they're innovators. These children are going to be innovators. They're not going to be creative. They're not going to have fun. They're not going to enjoy their kindergarten years playing around. Well, they will, but the reason is that will make them be able to conquer the global marketplace and become innovators and start up businesses. Scary. Blech. I like the old kindergarten better. Yeah. Anyway, that's the new kindergarten curriculum in Ontario. Anyway, I don't like it. I don't like it. Mary, what decades of definition of creativity best fits with your own? Well, I'm about to get to the history stuff, but I'll do a quick. Well, I have a little bit of everything. I really like the kindergarten stuff because it's very hopeful and cooperative and together. But I would say I'm probably more. My conceptions of creativity now are I don't really have them because I know too much and I can just. There's ones I like more. I would say mine was probably closer to the 70s one where, there are creative individuals and they don't really fit in and they do their own thing and the man gets them down. I was probably more closer to that one, but for obvious, reasons because, I was that guy. Yeah. So I think that's more, but I also really like the old ones. I really like the ones about, a global creation and everyone being part of this thing that's unfolding. Those are reassuring and they're fun. I don't believe it, but I think it's a good positive message. And I think it's something you can definitely work with. Like, I think it's a good way to get everyone on board. Yeah. So I like that one too. I'm not into the innovation creativity. There is creativity in innovation, but I don't think creativity should be subservient to innovation. And I don't think creative activity. I think the best part about creative activity is creating yourself, right? And your own identity and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of being shoved to the back burner. First, are you going to inject humor into your thesis defense or be super serious? Super serious is the answer. My thesis is super serious. Yeah. No humor in there at all. Yeah. I don't think, is there anything funny in there? I don't think I have anything funny in there. It's easy to read, though. I didn't use very many big words. I kept to the little words. I didn't use a bunch of big words in my thesis. So humans could probably read it if they really wanted to. Don't know. Yeah, but no, not funny. Not funny at all. Not. If you're gonna go look it up, when I finally get it out there, expecting a couple of laughs. No laughs in there at all. Canadian girl can't say I like the idea creativity should be linked to consumerism. Yeah, it strongly is. Unfortunately, for better or for worse. But that's what I mean. There's a fight over any big word like justice or justice. Who's justice for? Who's creativity for? Who wisdom? What does that mean? Who's wise, right? Leadership. Even a word like leadership can get people all worked up because everyone thinks it's a word everyone thinks, oh, we all know what that means. It means someone who can lead. Okay, well, then you go, well, does, and okay, I don't want to get people too upset here, but this is this is what I use just to show people how is Donald Trump a good leader? And people go, oh, he's not a good leader. Or some people, yeah, he's good. Well, I mean, if the definition of leadership is someone that people follow, then yes. But if you've decided that the definition of leadership is people follow in a certain way, so people are always talking about these ideas, but they're talking past each other. So in creativity, there's this big discussion. It comes up all the time in education. Can creativity be taught? And it's a stupid conversation because it's actually people who believe that creativity is innate and they define creativity as an innate thing that separates people from other people, like this personality stuff over here. Then no, it can't be taught. But that's just your conception. You're not arguing anything. You're just saying, here's my definition. And this other person has a definition of creativity as something that develops working together with other people. And then of course it can be taught. You can get people to work with each other. You can do this stuff. So basically there's no conversation. You're just shouting at each other saying, this is the definition of creativity. This is the definition. This is the definition. And you don't get anywhere. It's like, okay, well, that's great. You're not talking about what is going on with it. Right. Yeah. Anyway, that was a bit of a ramble. So yeah, what am I doing now? Okay. So that was the history of creativity. And then of course I go into curriculum. Okay. I'm definitely going to lose people here. So curriculum theory, I'm just going to boil it down. There's a whole ton of curriculum theory, what the curriculum is for, all that kind of crap. So what I wanted to use though was to try to find out this idea of words being used for purposes. So it's the same thing in education. There's every now people go, oh, you're not teaching blank the best way, or you're not doing this the best. We just have to find the best way to teach like music. And of course, everyone goes, yes, we need to find the best way, but the best way for what? For what? Like, there's not one best way of doing something like education. Depends on what your goal for education is. So in education, there's 4 main goals have been kind of found. I mean, once again, this is just all abstract, but it's good. It's handy to think, handy thinking tool. So one goal of education is academic success. So this is the idea of education should be a bunch of different subjects. Every subject is its own kind of domain. People rise up in the subjects. There are masters like the teachers, or people in it, PhD people. There's these higher powers of authority, and then you learn your way up. And each subject has a canon of works that you work your way through, right? That's one idea of education. So the goal is to become a master. It's mastery of knowledge. Second one is social utility. Purpose is utility. So and the purpose as utility usually means monetary utility when you get down to it. So the goal of education is to make productive members of society. So it's not like the first one where it's knowledge. No. The knowledge is only important if it makes you money. So social utility is often about developing skills, skill-based curriculum. This is most of what we have nowadays. So what is the skill that can help you compete in the global marketplace? And that's the goal of education. Next one is learner-centered. So this is the idea that, no, the goal of education is not to develop skills or to master a subject. It is to grow a person according to their inner nature. That's the goal of education. So this is the part of the Froebel stuff, all that kind of stuff. It's about, okay, what is the student? So you don't give this fixed curriculum. You find out what the student wants, what the student needs. You help them grow like a plant, like in a kindergarten, learner-centered. And the last one is social justice, not used that much, believe it or not. And that's that the goal of education shouldn't be academic, should be mastery, shouldn't be money, shouldn't just be growing the student, but a little bit of that's in it. It should be creating a just society, a society that works and that can exist, and finding out where inequality is and inequities and overthrowing them. And so the goal isn't to solve problems as much as it is to first find the problems. Right. And then to try to get solutions to these problems. So the goal of education there is all the students to get together to help show the students these problems, and they form plans, action plans to help ameliorate. That's a good word, ameliorate those problems. So those are the four main kind of types of goals that underlie curriculums. They're almost never talked about directly, right? They're always kind of assumed, right? And so then once again, when people have these pointless obvious arguments about like what the math curriculum should be, no, math should be taught this way. No, that's not how you teach math. It's this way. Well, what they're really arguing about is, I believe, math should be taught so that we can have, can dominate in the marketplace, and you should teach students only the skills that they'll need. And the other person is arguing, no, I think academic nature of math should be, so that's what all these kind of things are about. Underneath that, that was like a textbook of curriculum theory done in a couple of minutes. Dun, 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 dun. So a lot of people instinctively, I like the Learner Center one. I like the Learner Center one too. So I went back looking at all these historical documents, trying to figure out, I was using this as kind of a guidepost. So what was going on in the curriculum documents in these different periods, purpose-wise for creativity. So that's how I'm combining these two things I'm talking about. So the first period, there we go. So here's one from one of the first readers. So this period, these are the readers were a series of books all students had. Ontario publicly funded education started around 1853. That was the first printed curriculum, and they were using these books, which were actually printed in Ireland and were used throughout the British Empire. And so in these books, so this is the first. This is like the first book here, the primer, where students are just learning tiny words and stuff like that. And in this, they would shove stuff like this in there, just here and there. See the stuff in the italics. So this is just lesson 9. Roman numerals. And they just have, here are the words you're going to learn in lesson 9: glove, love, sun, work. This is not my glove. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And then they have in italics, God loves us and sent his son to save us. The word of God tells us to love him. If we are bad, God will not love us, and we shall not go to him when we go from this world. Yeah, that's for like 5-year-olds there. And it's all through that document, all over the place. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a nice thing to have pop up for the children to read? So this was used up till around Confederation, 1867. So this era, I call this the divine creation era of creativity. If you look in all the documents, it's this idea, what I talked about before, there's a fixed creation. People have their spot. Creation is done. And as you can see from this quote, and there's endless stuff like this, students are not to question creation or even be able to create on their own. They are just to know their spot and to do what they're supposed to do, else they're going to go to hell. So it was pretty clear. So there was not like a lot of encouragement of anything we would call creative for students. Even for things like drawing, the teacher was supposed to draw like diagrams, and then the students would copy them. That was what they were supposed to do. That was in music, they were just supposed to sing patriotic songs all together. So that was the first era. Boy, I have 12. I'm not going to get through all of this. But that's period 1 quote. Okay, next era. Boof. The next era started in around late 1900s, and it went into the 1940s. And this is the era of creativeness. See if I can get this big enough so I can read it. So this here is from, come on. This one is from, here, I know what I can do. I can just move this over here so it's big enough. So this is from the 1904 curriculum in Ontario. And this curriculum went from all these students copying stuff, students doing everything. All of a sudden, these ideas, from Froebel, the German guy who made up kindergarten, all of that took over the entire curriculum. And so all of a sudden, here we go. I'll just read some of this. Every opportunity should be given to the pupils to modify given types of models or to design new ones. And in lower grades, to rearrange given units to create new combinations. All of the work should have in it the elements of beauty in construction, in proportion, and in decoration. Though we may not be able to add to the quantity or the variety of material, we can modify its form and we can arrange it in new combinations. The making of new forms and combinations, the giving of the definite expression to ideas and mental images, the rendering of the inner outer, is the great Froebelian doctrine of creativeness. Look at that, hey? Wow. So this was in 1904, people. 1904. So there's this idea that schools have been stifling and mean since, I don't know, and they only, like, there was the dark ages that never saw. This is 1904, and they were telling all the teachers to have the kids do, unfold, to have their inner become outer. In the same one, they talk about there should be no homework because it infringes upon the freedom of the child. All of this stuff. 1904, people. 1904. All this stuff. So that came in. It took over most of the elementary curriculum for about 4 years. Although, sadly, almost no one implemented any of this because the teachers didn't like it and the parents didn't like it. They were like, what the heck are you teaching my kid? In the inner outer, I don't know what. He's always just playing with crafts. Teach him how to count and add. So this, just so you know, this whole debate, it's been going on for a long time. So yeah, they put out this curriculum. It was based on all these really wonderful ideas. You see the next part is nature study. Nature study was like a major part of the curriculum. Their kids were supposed to go outside, observe nature, be part of nature, learn from it, all of this stuff. 1904. 1904. Mm-hmm. Yep. But society at large didn't really get it. And then World War I hit, and people really weren't into students spending their time having their inner come outer. It was like learn skills. And then Froebel's name dropped off because they were fighting the Germans. So they wiped his name off. Kindergarten. Kindergarten survived, but Froebel was thrown in the trash because the Germans were bad people, right? So, no, we didn't talk about Froebel anymore. Yep. So that's what happened there. So that was the second era of creativity in the schools, even though it wasn't called that yet. It's called creativeness. And even though it got pushed back in the curriculum as World War I happened, and then even after that, there was a big push into social utility instead. The ideas, there was no social utility version of creativity. There was no idea of creativity for innovation like we have now. Creativeness, because that was the word that was mostly used, was related to this, to the inner becoming outer. That was how the word was used. Whew, any questions? Any questions? I'm in period 2 now. Mentor says, security at Walmart got called when my inner became outer last time I was there. Yeah, see, that's a good joke, but not in my thesis. No jokes in my thesis. Making the inner, anyone else got any? Okay, so there you go. So that was the second era in these curriculum documents. These are just the Ontario curriculum documents. I've only looked at them. I've read every single Ontario curriculum core document since the dawn of Ontario curriculum. So that's era 2. So I kind of found these different eras of how creativity was talked about. So the next one is what I call creative experience. Let me get rid of this one. Where is this one? Nope. Period 1 quote. Over here. Okay. Period 3 quote. Here we go. So then, 1930s. So the social utility ideas were really popular, like from World War I into the 20s. And then in the 30s, people started getting this idea again that maybe something's a little funky with society, and maybe shouldn't all be about turning into productive members of society economically. Maybe we should talk about what people, are experiencing, Maybe we should do that again. And so there was kind of this second wave of these ideas. And this is where creativity came in again. Curriculum of 1937. So the word creativity, by the way, has still not appeared in any documents. None whatsoever in the Ontario curriculum. So here's from the 1937 curriculum. Just one example of what creativity could be. While some of the language, this is in the English curriculum for primary schools. While some of the language exercises of the elementary school will be reproductive in character, a great many should definitely be creative. Opportunities for creative work will be found in the telling or writing of original stories and verse making, and in the writing of plays for classroom performance. Such creative work should not, of course, be judged by adult standards and should be undertaken not for the sake of the work produced, but for the training received and the pleasure experienced by the child in the process. Isn't that crazy? Wanting to teach something to children for the pleasure that they get out of it? Wow, what a bunch of nuts back then, 1930s. Jesus. Glad we got rid of that. So this is this curriculum came in the late 1930s, part of a big movement across North America and Europe, sometimes called progressive education. But there was a whole bunch of different types of progressive education. Not all of them for the same thing, but here they were still encouraging the student developing, but also encouraging students to participate and grow into society. This is when projects appeared. Projects, they hadn't appeared before. The project method took things over. So teachers were supposed to make these big projects that students would come up with on their own or with the guidance of the teacher. And then they'd spend like months working on these projects and learning all these things. And then they have these big presentations where they'd have, creative works they'd made and things they'd figured out. Yeah, 1930s people. Yeah, who knew? So this kind of idea stuck around for a while. What happened, though, in Ontario is this curriculum didn't get changed till basically the 1970s. And it's not that it was followed. It was basically ignored from the 1940s on because there was the baby boom and everyone got really busy. And so teachers, this was officially the curriculum. But from what I can tell, most of the schools just ignored it and went back to answering questions and having tests and stuff like that. Yeah. And then in so this is period 3, creative experience. That's what I call it, because you're supposed to have these experiences and be creative in the experiences. Isn't that super interesting? I got two more to go. Whew, my God. Any questions? Any questions, class? Pleasure in education. Yeah, ridiculous. Don't worry, we're coming to getting rid of that in a second. Schools were too busy to change the curriculum. They would have totally ripped that stuff out, but they didn't bother. But then back in the 60s, all this stuff came back into fashion, all of this open classrooms and all that kind of stuff. So they actually just restated the old curriculum. They said, we got this old curriculum and it's totally jiving now with the groovy 60s. And so this creative experience stuff stayed around. And then in the 70s, the global economy reared its head. Here we are. Global economy rearing its head. All of a sudden, everything had to be done to compete in a global economy. There was an oil shortage. There was just all this stuff. There's technology growing. These things called computers were taking over. And here's the 1993 curriculum by the NDP government, which is strange enough, called the Common Curriculum. It is generally agreed that in order to live and work with success in a fast-changing world, everyone, our students need to develop, number one, creative thinking skills that will enable them to apply knowledge and information in a variety of situations and to solve problems involving a wide range of factors and issues. Oh, that sounds fun, doesn't it? Yeah, so here's the new version of creativity. Popped up in the 70s, went all the way to the 90s, early 2000s. Well, it's still kind of here. So this is all of a sudden, creativity isn't a power. It's not a force. It's not an inner nature. It is a thinking skill, a skill. Creativity is not a way of being. It's a skill that you develop. And why do you develop it? Because it's a fast-changing world. And you've got to solve problems. You got to solve problems here, people. There's problems. You got to solve them creatively. Yeah. That's what creativity is for. It's not to make whatever you feel like or to grow. It's to solve a problem. And these problems, I tell you, they have a wide range of factors and issues. Come on, people. Get it together. So this is what creativity was now being pushed as a skill that you could learn, right? A skill you get better at, and then you can solve all these problems. You see where this is headed. Then the Harris government came in later, and they totally made it about only solving problems. There is no inner outer. None. No. Just you find a problem that somebody assigns you, and then you use creativity in this version to solve that. So it's basically, I don't know what it is. It's just it's kind of cleverness, ingenuity, problem solving. That's what it became in this era. And I'm rushing along. And then, I'll go to the modern era. What we are now. I gotta put this back over here. So that was like the 70s to the early 2000s. And then here we are now. Now it's still mostly that, but it's a little more diverse in the curriculum. So there's not just problem solving. They do say you can solve some social issues, Although, weirdly enough, these issues that we're supposed to be solving with creativity are all problems that were created through human creativity. Yeah, kind of ironic. So in the more recent curriculum documents in Ontario, there's talk about, the environment and solving that creatively and doing stuff like that. And then you guys go, well, who made these problems of the environment? And who made these social issues? Oh, we did. We created those. Okay, so we'll creatively solve our problems of our own creation. Well, that seems good enough. It's still mainly pictured as a skill, although they focus a lot more on process. So here's the process, creative process, as in the arts document. Which one was this? 2008, I do believe, 2008. So this is how they show the creative process, and it's a big improvement. I'm gonna give them that. It's a big improvement over the lack of discussion about creativity, but it still does not talk about creativity, personal growth, and and the one thing they have is everything is still creativity is a part of an assessment rubric. Yeah, everything has to be like a rubric, and creativity and critical and creative thinking skills are lumped together. They're not the same thing, people. They're related and they can be used together, but they're not the same thing. But they're always talked about now as creative and critical thinking skills, all lumped together. And so it's still a skill you're supposed to develop and that you can assess on a 4-point scale. Yeah, because that's easy to assess creativity. You just get a 4-point scale and you can totally figure it out. And then there's this creative process, which it's not bad, but I look at it and go, would any student looking at that get any help from this picture at all? No, it's not detailed enough to have any detail, and it has too many bubbles to be used just to inspire. But it's a good effort. Good effort anyway. It's better than what they had before. So that's where we're at now in the curriculum. So the purposes are kind of, it's still mainly to create products and stuff like that, but they put in a little bit more. They've got a little bit more of the changing society stuff, which is nice to see. And there's still a little bit of creativity for individuals, but not much. It's in there though, which is more than it was previously. Oh my God. Okay, so that's all of my research in almost no time. I'm over an hour. I got most of it in though. I'm pretty impressed with myself. I'm going to take questions now though. I'm not going to leave you hanging if you have questions, because there are many excruciating details I have left out of this. Where can I? There we go. Okay. Any questions? Okay. You probably have questions. I haven't looked at the. I'm gonna. How do you think they promoted experience during the Depression era? Well, that's when a lot of this progressive stuff happened. And Dewey was one of the big names. Look him up. But Dewey was part of the first wave as well, back in the Froebel times. And I can't get into much, but he changed it around. So a lot of this creative experience was to not only help the student develop, but also to develop a better and more just democracy. Mm-hmm. So by going through these kind of more group experiences and these projects, students would learn how to work together and how to manage things together, and this would kind of move over into a society that where democracy worked better. That's a good question. Okay. What grades? My research is for primary grades, which change over time, but are mostly from like age, if I include kindergarten, age 4 to around 12. But it does change. Yes. I'm not going to get into that too much. Someone's gamification in learning. Oh yeah, well that'd be, yes, it applies very much. What I find is, and there's one researcher who says the word creativity itself should never be used in research as itself. You can't say this is what creativity is. You have to have an adjective. You can say this is what creative education focusing on creative thought is. So you have to kind of narrow it down. And gamification, that's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff in there. First Saskatchewan Pirates says, so do you see creativity as an innate trait to be nurtured or as a skill that schools can instill? Yes, I do. Once again, it depends on creativity isn't a thing, and your conception of it will change. So that's why, you can nurture it, and you can also consider it a skill. Mm-hmm. the idea I had coming into it was that it was more, well, I don't know, it's a big mess. But you can teach creative thinking skills if you want, like how do you make a better ad, for example. You can teach that. It's like teaching music, right? Some people are going to take to it quicker than others, but there's definitely skills involved in learning how to make an ad. And advertisers call themselves creatives, right? The creative department. That's all from a guy, Osborne, in the 50s, who came up with brainstorming. Yep, you can look into that. I didn't have time to talk about that. So yes, both of those things. It depends on your purpose. What is your purpose? What are you trying to accomplish when you get into a classroom? So usually what I'm trying to accomplish is I want students to get over the barriers of doing stuff and to have a good time and to be able to express something about, not necessarily even about themselves, just be able to do something. So creative experience is more of what I'm into, and therefore everyone can do it. And they can also learn to do it better, but it's really about the experience for them. For me, I'm not as much about developing the skills to start with, because I think if you don't have a reason to do it, if you're afraid of doing it, why would you teach skills? I think the skills are often taught too early, and then they just make people always questioning, always going, am I doing this right? Instead of, hey, this is great, I'm having a fun time doing this. So I usually start with doing stuff first and then explaining later what you've learned to do, because you've already done it and now you're not worried about doing it wrong because you already actually accomplished it. So I always start by writing a song as a group, and everyone has a song, and now no one can say, I don't know how to write a song. It's like, no, we just wrote a song. Those lines there, those are yours. And then they've already done it, and you don't have to get worried about it. And you can develop the skills later. Whew, okay. Mary, humor and creativity. Humor intersect, or they separate? Creativity is such a broad conception, right? Because it is about, at its root, it is about all of creation. So therefore, creativity intersects with absolutely everything. The difference is humor is based on an actual physiological process, right? You cannot control laughing at something. If something funny happens in front of you, it'll automatically happen. So humor, even though there are different conceptions of humor, at its root, because I did my master's in humor, at its root, humor is based in physiology and mind. There are things that we laugh. It is a reaction. It's the third option between fight and flight is humor, right? You see something funny, right? Something funny, not right. If it ends up being a threat, you run. But if you're not sure it's a threat, that's where humor comes in. That's where you're waiting. And then if it's funny, then you laugh, right? If there's a tiger in the forest, well, you think there's a tiger in the forest, but you're not sure, then you're on edge. And then if somebody's kid runs out of the forest, then you laugh. That's funny. The tiger jumps out, then you either fight it or run. I would run from the tiger myself. I'm a bit of a coward though. But yeah, creativity it encompasses everything. So humor, of course, intersects with it. Okay. Are there psychological benefits for students engaging in? Oh, yeah. There's a lot of wellness stuff going on right now. So if you can hook anything up to wellness, and that's why the learner center stuff is coming back, because people are finding out that, hey, when you treat children like cogs in a soulless machine, sometimes that makes them sad. Wow, that's weird. So weird, hey? But if you actually give them value as a person and creating their own thing, they seem to get happier. I wonder how that works. So yeah, there's a lot of creativity work, especially in the arts-based work, around self-worth and growth and all that kind of stuff. If you look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, his top one was creativeness. Didn't call it creativity, by the way, it's creativeness. And he was talking about that type of creativeness, about the growth of the person, that as a thing that you create yourself. So you can look that up. It's been going that, and that goes all the way back to Froebel, all that stuff. Last one, Canadian girl. Not sure which model was the most successful with students. Like once again, it all goes back to that little curriculum chart. What's your purpose, and did you accomplish your purpose? Right? If your goal is to create a modern workforce or whatever, then you probably want to teach them skills and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they might burn out, right? But you can just teach another kid some skills like that. But if your success is to try to make students who are enjoying themselves or whatever. That's another one. And I haven't even got into the idea of the creative personality where there are people who are creative and can't control it. Like they have to be creative. And that doesn't necessarily make them happier. It's more like an addiction. Like when they're creating, they're okay. But when they're not, they're like really cranky and grumpy. And I'm talking hypothetically here, not about like someone like me, for example, who, so there's all that going on too. So that's more stuff. Okay. Phew. Well, I think that was a lot. I was going to mention a whole bunch of other stuff today, but I had some more songs, but I'm not going to play them. Oh, no, I'm going to do one. I'm going to do one song. I'm going to wait for one more second. Any last minute questions? Then I'm going to sing one song, and then I'm going to say goodbye. Okay, I'm going to wait one hour. I'm going to look up my song lyrics here. And as I'm doing that, you're allowed to put in one more question if you want. No. A song? Oh, you're right. Next week's topic. Thank you, Mentor. Oh my God. That would have been embarrassing. Okay. Oh, and yeah, I'm doing an April Fool's concert. So if anyone wants to come to that, it's on Zoom. You go to Side Door Concerts and put in my name. And it's going to be a Zoom concert in interactive. It's only going to be 25 people at the most. Yeah. So what was I going to do? Sorry, now I'm distracted. I got that. Oh, yeah. Next week's topic. Topic for next week. That's right. So once again, if you have one more question, I can answer that. If not, I'm just killing time now because I'm trying to get into this thing that lets me do the poll. It's the only thing I do on the actual Twitch platform is use their poll maker. That means I have to log in and get the thing going. And then I have to make sure I stop it from streaming my own show because that's really weird while I'm actually recording. And that's what it's doing right now. And then I'm log in. Okay, here we go. Stop it. Stop it. There we go. Okay. Okay, going into the creator dashboard. So if you start thinking about what you think my next topic should be, and I'm gonna get this up and running. Oh, come on, load in quicker. Come on. Where is it? Hey, it didn't pop up this time. Where is my poll? Huh. Oh, the poll maker has disappeared. Oh my God, they changed something without telling me. Okay, we're just gonna have to do it in the stream. Okay, that's it. I need to find a new poll maker. Yeah, they've moved it. It's not where it should be. I'm angry now. Okay, so let's get Dungeons and Dragons. That's one. I'm just gonna write it on a piece of paper. Jesus, what have I come to? That's potential one. Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. Okay. What's next? Anyone else? Disaster songs. Oh, people are disaster songs. Okay, that's a good one. Anyone else? Well, we got two topics. I'm gonna wait a couple more seconds. Two topics. How about if I get three topics? Gumby. Okay, I'll give one more second if anyone has another topic, and then I'll just count the mentions on the stream. Okay, I think that's enough. So, people, your possibilities are D&D, disaster songs, or Gumby. So just type them in, and I'll count whoever gets the more. Yeah. No, it'll be Pokey too. Is that a vote or that's just conversation? D&D, disaster songs, and Gumby. Those okay. We got one for disaster songs, one for D&D. Oh, God, I have to do this with a pencil. Okay. It's too late to add. It's too late to add new things. Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, we got three for Dungeons and Dragons. Any else votes? I'll wait for one more second. Okay. Looks like D&D is gonna win. Okay, it's gonna be Dungeons and Dragons, people. Dungeons and Dragons next week. Good. Something I know about. Well, yeah, that's gonna be okay. I'll be able to get one. Okay, I'm gonna do one song because I didn't do enough songs today. Wow, I can't. That was a lot. That was a lot to talk about. Okay, I'm going to do a song, and then I'm going to get out of here. So, someone's online suggested I do this. I can't remember who it was. So this was an appropriate song for me and my thesis. I did not write it. This is a little song from a big band called They Might Be Giants. I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, there we go. There's Dr. Worm right there. Okay. Because I'm in the area in Worms, and one day I'll be a doctor. But not yet. I just have to wait for my defense day. They call me Dr. Worm. Good morning, how are you? I'm Dr. Worm. I'm interested in things. I'm not a real doctor, but I am a real worm. I am an actual worm. I live like a worm, and I like to play the drums. I think I'm getting good, but I can't handle criticism. I'll show you what I know, and you can tell me if you think I'm getting better on the drum. I'll leave the front door unlocked, 'cause I can't hear the doorbell. When I get into it, I can't tell if you are watching me twirling the stick. When I give the signal, my friend Rabbi Vol will play the solo. Someday someone else beside me will call me by my stage name. They will call me Dr. Worm. Good morning, how are you? I'm Dr. Worm. I'm interested in things. I'm not a real doctor, but I am a real worm. I am an actual worm. I live like a worm, and I like to play the drums. I think I'm getting good, but I can handle criticism. I'll show you what I know, and you can tell me if you think I'm getting better on the drum. I'm not a real doctor, but they call me Dr. Worm. There you go, Dr. Worm. Dr. Worm. Don't know why that was suggested. Huh. Interesting. So thank you, everyone. I didn't even have a chance to pitch my Patreon. I'm doing a Patreon now. I put up a new Very Grim Fairy Tale every month. It's the best way to support me. Really keeps me going. So thank you, everyone, and I'm going to say bye-bye. And next week we're going to talk about D&D. That'll be easy. I got some dice within reach, actually. Within reach. Okay, it's mainly going to be me. Just a warning. It'll be mainly me complaining about how the rules changed from first edition, because I played first edition way back when, and then I didn't start playing again till last year. And there were changes, and I have opinions on that. Okay. So it might be a little controversial, is all I'm saying. A little cranky old man. A little bit of that's going to happen. 2 weeks from now. Yes, 2 weeks from now, first weekend in April. I guess, is that over Easter weekend? I don't even know. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, bye-bye, everyone.